Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kip, for sharing that. I'd like to invite Marilyn Cooper-Onley to come forward. Marilyn is, of course, a dear friend also and a caregiver in many ways in these last years. Yeah, if you make the stairs and are comfortable up there, it would be easier so people could hear.
First, thank you, friends and family, for coming today, and I appreciate everyone that helped in Lander Hall, which Bertha gave us to get this started. And she was my friend. She taught me so much, and I loved her, and they often thought that I was her daughter. I want to mention the caregivers, Karen, Catalina, Cindy, Richard, and Tommy, and I think most are here today. And I want to thank Dan Crabtree, who was her attorney, that did more than just take care of her legal affairs. I met her at church. She was in this K-8 once with my mother, and she always loved my mother, Dorothy Cooper. She was feisty and demanding, but she definitely had a good heart and was generous, and at the end said to so many, "I have a place in my heart for you." I think her work ethics and coming from Sweden gave her the strength to carry on. We called in hospice just the last month because during the day she wanted to be alone, and she was independent and able to do that, and she certainly let us know. She also said, "I know more than the doctors." And the years that I knew her, she took very little, almost no medication, which kept her alive. I did drive her around a lot, as well as Wilma, Kit's sister, the doctor's appointment, and she would let me know in her own certain way how to get there and what to do and so on and so forth, though she never did drive.
No.
I know we went around many times in my car to save 2 cents on a pound of potatoes, but that was Bertha. I loved her. She made us laugh and cry, as Lynn would say. She was a lovely lady. She was proud. I'm happy now to hear from so many family and friends, and there were a lot, though she never had any children. I think we'll always remember her. I enjoyed celebrating her 100th birthday here at the church, as Kit shared, and I hope the family will share later some of the stories we can enjoy and laugh at after in Lander Hall. She came from 10 brothers and sisters, as I understand, and she outlived them all, and they'll maybe share, was the middle one, and I think that gave her the fight to keep going. Started out hard in life. As I said, I hope later in Lander Hall we can share some food and some stories. I think she'd appreciate that. And one of the last things she said, she enjoyed her garden so much. She said, "Thank you, the flowers are pretty. They came from my mother," and that was just a few days before she passed. Thank you again, and I hope we'll enjoy the food and fellowship afterwards.
Marilyn, thank you so much for sharing your stories with you. And now I'd like to invite Lynn Minsky to come up. Lynn, are you comfortable speaking? Yes, okay. There is a little step if you need to pull it out. But
Hi, I'm Lynn Mischke, and I was one of those people that was afraid of Bertha. No, actually, I knew Bertha for 20 years, in the last 20 years of her life, and I was her friend and neighbor. My husband Peter and I were newlyweds, and we bought the house directly across the street from Bertha. But my first encounter with her was looking out my kitchen window, and we hadn't been there probably more than a week or so, and my husband and I were working a lot of hours, so we weren't home during the day, but it was a Saturday, and I looked out my kitchen window, and I see this little lady coming past my window with a cane and her beautiful wooden clogs that she always wore. And I watched her pass my window, and she went right into my backyard. And there's a fence there, and she seemed to get through it, and I thought, okay, I wonder what's going on here. So I went in the backyard and I said, can I help you? And she said, this plant needs to be put in the shade, and you need to water this more. And she was directing me to how to get my garden in gear. So I had a chuckle because, she was really on top of things from the get-go. And later we raised 2 sons there. I have 3 boys, but 2 boys were born in that house across the street from her. And I was outside a lot with the 2 active little boys. And Bertha, when I think of Bertha, I think of her in her garden. And her glorious garden was so much a part of her, as many of you know. And the roses that she grew is one of the blessings that we had and that I could enjoy from across the street. But I was one of the, apparently I was the one that would be the bank person. I always took her to the bank, and I ran errands with her, as I know a lot of us helped her get around town. And she always kept me on track as to when it was time to go to Home Depot to get the fertilizer and to get the mulch and everything else. And so I learned a lot from her in the garden, and I think she really felt sorry for my flowers and my plants, because I never really did very well with it, but she kept me going with it. But I just wanted to read this little Irish prayer on behalf of Bertha. May the road rise to meet you, dear Bertha. May the wind be always at your back. And may the sun shine warm upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. God bless you, Bertha.
Thank you. It's always emotional when we start getting into some of the stories and really the heartfelt piece of our connection. And